Gentleman from Georgia yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Arkansas, Mr. Hill, the chairman of the Subcommittee on Digital Assets, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Appreciate this hearing. Glad to have our panel with us. Nell, it's nice to see you again. I saw on your resume how long you've been working on these issues, and I think I can beat you by 2 years, but we've known each other a long time, and you've been a real voice in the corporate governance arena. You know, with that said, I have to say I share, I don't know if I share David Scott's concerns or not, but I'll share his raising SEC Rule 14A8, and I'm not convinced that, as pro-offered, that we're going back quite to things that were before the Trump administration's changes. You know, we had a great hearing yesterday, and we just heard a lot of concerns about this. And in my view, between the staff legal bulletins, 14I and J and K, replacing with this 14L, it's a problem. I think it really politicizes the proxy process. And my friends on the other side of the aisle might be talking about, you know, great progressive ideas and things of that nature. And I don't think they should met with, you know, conservative responses. I mean, it's a law of physics here. A force of equal might will be met by another one opposing it. And that's not what the proxy process is for. And in addition to opening up to these social things, which is not relevant, it also it disconnects it from the individual company responsibility. And that's a big difference that usually doesn't get mentioned. So it makes it, as I say, much easier for politically motivated people to weigh into this situation. You take the wokest company on the planet, you pick it, Apple, Google, they reject every one of these social impact type statements. The management, the board recommends it because it's not relevant to the mission. And so I think we need to go back to the future and be focused more about who's on the board, are they competent, compensation committees, are they independent, are they implementing the strategy, are they developing a good quality return for shareholders, and get out of all this, this madness. So Mr. Neitram, let me start with you. Companies are facing more and more detailed ESG and political proposals that are intended to interfere or could be considered to be interfering with regular business operations. And then, as I say, 14L removes that, as I noted, that long-standing commitment directly to the individual business by the way it's phrased. So how does this proposal process change when the SEC limits no action release under 14A8, as Mr. Scott noted?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. Well, effectively what it does is that it gives activists a roadmap to engage in real micromanagement of the company. As you noted, part of what we need to do here is to support companies taking risks and innovating and delivering returns to investors. And you know, part of that is on the company itself. The company has a duty to respond to the marketplace. If a company isn't responding to the marketplace for the demands that they need, where the marketplace trusts them to act and build their business, that company will wither and die. So taking the activists and the roadmap out of it will allow companies to flourish.
Dr. White, when you look at these 14A8 proposals, it seems like it tips the scale to special interest proponents on either side of the political spectrum. Would this increase litigation risk for companies, and what other potential impacts might it have on corporate governance?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Congressman. It would certainly continue to tip the increase towards special interest groups. You know, when we saw with 14L, which is a staff opinion, not something that receives commentary like proposed rulemaking at the commission, we saw an increase in the SEC's disagreement for no action relief requests by more than 50%. And so we can expect that to continue with the new Rule 14A proposals that came out in July 2022. The SEC added language that says you cannot address, even if you address the same subject matter and the same objective, if it is addressed through a different means, it's not a reason for duplicative exclusion. So one could easily imagine 4 or 5 activists getting together and slightly tweaking the version of their proposal and having 5 proposals on the same topic appear on the proxy.
Yeah, I just think that goes against the whole. We have so many rules against not doing that with owning the stock, and yet we're going to try to manipulate the process through the proxy. It doesn't sound like a good idea. Nell, we've been around each other a long time on passively managed funds. Now, that was an innovation when we were in the business together. Now it dominates the market. Do you think that a passively managed ETF proxy should just default to vote with management as a fiduciary in that capacity, except maybe in the case of M&A?
No, I don't. As we said
Why?
before, the proxy advisors, over 90% of their recommendations.
Not the
are
proxy
public
advisors.
management. I understand that, but-
Respond to me off the dais. My time's expired. It's not about the proxy advisors. It's about what the manager's doing. Yield back.